Did you know that 60% of the buyer's journey is complete before someone is ready to talk to your salespeople? That's a long time for someone to go research to make a purchase decision. And a lot of that research is being done now on generative search as well as on social media and in online communities. So when someone hits your website, they're more likely to want to convert sooner rather than later and have deeply technical and detailed questions that they want to ask you. In today's episode, I'm bringing on an expert at chat technology and how that could be used for manufacturers and technical companies to help shorten the buyer's journey and to take some friction out of the sales process. I'll ask a lot of questions like, should this be used for customer support or for inventory, or what type of content is best used in chat? Should it be a robot? Should it be a human? So we cover a lot of different ground. I think it's really interesting, something that marketers and executives and salespeople should all be paying attention to and considering as you go into planning for 2026 and just how you can convert people better on your website.
Welcome to Content Marketing Engineered, your source for building trust and generating demand with technical content. Here is your host, Wendy Covey.
Hi, and welcome to Content Marketing Engineered. On each episode, I'll break down an industry trend, challenge, or best practice in reaching technical audiences. You'll meet colleagues, friends, and clients of mine who will stop by to share their stories. And I hope that you leave each episode feeling inspired and ready to take action. Before we jump in, I'd like to give a brief shout out to my agency, True Marketing. True is a full-service agency located in beautiful Austin, Texas, serving highly technical companies. For more information, visit truemarketing.com. And now, on with our podcast. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Content Marketing Engineered. I'm joined today by Nelson Bruton. He's the president of Manufacturing Chats and of Interchanges. Welcome to the show, Nelson.
Thank you, Wendy. Happy to be here.
Good. How's your day going? How's Florida?
Florida's hot and humid. We love it. It's been a great day. Got my workout in, and it's been a productive Monday. So
awesome. What a great way to start and get all that out of the way. Get your energy flowing for this podcast. I love it.
Yep, absolutely.
I know you and I have met several times before. We most recently saw each other at Automate and before that at the Industrial Marketing Summit. But I bet there's a few people listening or watching that have never met you. So I thought a good place to start would be to just walk me through your background and what led you to where you are today and what you're doing today.
Absolutely. So I'll make a long story as short as possible, but I'll make it entertaining. How about that?
Perfect.
Hopefully people on today or whoever's listening, remember back in the day, 25, 30 years ago when AOL and Prodigy and CompuServe used to send out those compact discs, 20 free hours, 50 free hours, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was in high school, sophomore, junior during that time frame, and I was absolutely fascinated. We had a Gateway computer, the one that you bought that had the cow print on the box, right?
I do remember that.
Desktop.
Oh my gosh.
And
wow.
So I'd put those discs in and get on AOL and surf the web with Excite and Web Crawler. And the internet absolutely fascinated me. I knew it was going to change everything about everything, as the years went by. And so I was like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get a computer science degree. Well, that was all fun and dandy until I took my first coding class and realized that I was not wired to be a computer programmer. The semicolons and the commas and just not enjoyable for me, to say the least.
Fair.
And so I pivoted and I went the business route. And shortly after I graduated from college with an economics degree, I met the current, CEO of our company, Chris Patterson. He's the founder of Interchanges. And we've been working together for over 20 years doing digital marketing stuff.
Wow. 20 years now. That's a long time for entrepreneurship. And, most businesses, right, fail in the first 2 years. That's wonderful. What do you attest some of the success of you guys having that staying power?
Resilience is the word that comes to mind, right?
Yeah,
Any entrepreneur can relate. Resilience, but also believing in the value that you can bring to your customers.
Yeah.
Right. Having that strong, no doubt belief that, hey, I can bring value to you. And, you're going to gain customers. You're going to lose customers too over the years, but having that resilience to just keep pushing forward, doing something you believe in.
Okay, and always be helping, and I know that you're very generous with your time, and I'm so excited to have you just come and bring your expertise on the show today. So we have a fun topic, and
Yep.
I thought, okay, what's the perfect lead into this? And to me, it has to be generative search because it's rapidly changing the buyer's journey, and everything's changing, right? When they come to our website, they're at a very different place in their journey than they used to be. So maybe tell me about what you're seeing out there of behavioral shifts in manufacturing buyers.
Yeah, I mean, well, the key thing you said I'm going to hone in on is, there's a lots of things you have to do nowadays in marketing to get people to your website, right? And so once you get them there, it's critical to offer them what we call the three main preferences for communication. Two of them most people are very aware of. Put the phone number prominently, put your contact form prominently on certain pages or quote request forms. So phone calls and contact forms. But then, of course, offer live chat as a communication option. And those are the three primary, what we call conversion or capture tools. And certainly there's a whole element of the self-serve that's kind of a fourth category. If you have e-commerce or product configurators, et cetera, the self-serve is also a preference for a lot of engineers that are out there. But phone calls, contact forms, and live chat have to be addressed for today's buying cycles.
Yeah, and I remember, I don't know, let's say 15 to 20 years ago when people were starting to build their websites and they were essentially digital brochures, right? And we said, "Oh, don't ask to go steady before you have a first date, right? Don't ask to get married. Like don't put that contact us or that quote everywhere." But now when people come to the website, they're much lower in the funnel. They've done all this research. They've gone to all these places. So it is a little bit different. I'm seeing fewer interactions that lead to that desire to want to talk to sales. Would you
Mm-hmm.
agree with that?
Absolutely. I would definitely say that people are doing their research way before they get to your site.
Yeah.
And if your site's good and has lots of content, they're coming back to your site to continue to do research. And you want to make sure that you have every opportunity to open your arms and say, "Let's talk," whenever you're ready while they're there.
Yeah, so I think some marketers that had the inbound philosophy of let's write lots of content, let's educate, let's map this content along the buyer's journey. Not that that's not invalid; it's certainly important, but they're not necessarily thinking conversions, and how do we convert, and what do these pages look like? So, how do you get in that mindset, Nelson? Where do you start?
Well, I mean, the whole reason you're in business is to sell products or solutions and make money, right? Most businesses would have to fall into that category and agree with that statement. And you're absolutely right. Marketers all too often get caught up in their piled up task lists and all the different marketing stack technologies they're using. When they get overwhelmed and their team's smaller than ever. So yeah, the conversions, the main thing doesn't always remain the main thing in these marketers' minds because there's so much other stuff to do. So you're absolutely right. It's take a step back. Why are we doing any of this in the first place? Just to drive opportunities into the pipeline for our sales team or for our dealers, right? So what are the KPIs around that? Make sure you're continuously focused on those key performance indicators around what the main thing is for your business.
Okay, so you mentioned chat as one of the three pillars. So I'd like to get into that. So,
Yeah.
why do you think chat is a good tool for technical buyers in engineering and manufacturing?
It comes down to communication preference. I personally don't even like using chat that often, right? I like to pick up my phone, call and talk to somebody. I like to have conversations. That's my preference for communication.
And what generation are you, Nelson, if I can
I'm
ask?
a Gen X.
Okay,
I'm
me
Gen X.
too.
Yep.
I
So
hear you.
So that probably leads into it. But not everybody likes to talk on the phone. Millennials, they're text happy and they don't want to talk to somebody until they absolutely have to. And so give them an option to fill out a form or to text you or to have a live chat, and just type on their phone or tablet or from their computer. But it's just offering their preferences to people. And one of the things that we interestingly found out over the past 5 to 7 years, used to be the older demographic wouldn't use chat much at all.
Mm.
But now the older demographic got pulled kicking and screaming into the whole digital generation. Why? Because their grandkids now have iPads and phones. So they have to text and FaceTime with their grandkids. So they've been pulled into being a digital native by virtue of the grandkids.
How funny.
Yeah.
It's so true, right? Right. B2B buyers are humans too,
They're
right?
humans. Yeah.
We're
Well
still
said.
humans. Yeah, I love
Yep.
that. So what about the, obviously with AI, you have AI bots, right? You have
Mhm.
ones that you're not interacting with a person, it's just AI. Then you have the human ones. And then I'm guessing there's sort of like a hybrid version in between. Would you walk me through the types and what you might consider using one versus another when you're in this industry?
For sure. AI bots are great because they're typically super inexpensive, but that's about it, right? If you want to provide an interactive FAQ to your visitors, then put a chatbot on your website because that's really all it is. It's an interactive FAQ. The acknowledgement and empathy is lacking, right? And what we found over 20 years working with industrial companies, people like to do business with people. They're very much relationship driven. And so the human element on live chat for industrial companies, it immediately provides that acknowledgement, that empathy, and that engagement level that these people in the industrial space prefer in terms of doing business. Right. It's why
Okay.
trade shows are so popular in the industrial space, like because people get to see people, see their customers. You know what I mean? That there's energy at these shows when you're in the booth, and that's that people doing business with people thing is a big thing. So bots are no matter how well you code them, no matter how good the language model is, it's an interactive FAQ.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we've done some hybrid models where our humans engage first, and then we can actually have our chat teams use a language model that's built around the data and the information that our client has provided us so that the chat team can answer more technical questions. Okay.
Okay.
So it's
It's
human first,
interesting because I
and
would
then,
have expected you to say it flipped. Like you're
yeah,
starting with the robot and then you get the human, which seems to be my B2C experience with
what
the
I see
hybrid
out there
model.
most common.
Yeah.
And what I see in that arena is it's bot first, and then the person, if they want to speak to someone in sales, it transfers to somebody's internal team.
Hmm.
There's two really bad things that you'll see typically on those type of deployments. First of all, before it's a bot, there's usually a roadblock
Yeah.
um, or a form to fill out before the chat can start.
Yep.
Gates are for cattle, as the gentleman said at the Industrial Marketing Summit last year. You don't want to gate chat. Make it easy for the conversation to start. That's a best practice for sure. So if you have chat and it's gated, you can double your conversations just by getting rid of the gate for those in the audience that are doing chat.
Wow. That's
Okay.
significant.
Yeah. And so going back to what I said, so most people do bot first, but then the question becomes if you're going to transfer it from a bot to somebody who's staffing it internally,
Mhm.
what is that wait time for your visitor on the website? And if it's longer than 25 seconds, then it's a millennia, right? Time slows down when you're waiting for a chat response. So if your team's not available to respond within 10, 20 seconds, you might as well not even offer that because you're creating visitor frustration, a bad
Mhm.
customer experience,
Okay.
you know?
So, what types of things are better addressed in chat? So, for instance, is it better to have it set up just for customer support? Is it good for pre-sales? Do you need to specify how it's used? How should organizations think of chat?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
So it depends. You got to test and
Uh,
watch the results and then adjust because we've done all of those, what you just described. For example, we have a customer they manufacture big equipment for sifting rocks in the mining industries, right? Big conveyors and rock sifting and materials collection and material destruction conveyor systems. And we found out that, first of all, they were getting a ton of job seekers. They didn't want to get those chats, so we stopped it. So they're not sending the job seekers anymore. We just send them to
wow.
the job seeker
Yeah,
page.
who wants
Yep.
that? Well,
Yep.
I mean,
Well,
some
some people
do.
do. Some people do,
You want
but
them in
they
their
did not.
own pile, though, their own silo
They're in a pile,
away
right? And
from.
they didn't want to see them because they didn't want their inbox getting filled up. For them, it was a
Yeah.
waste of chat. So we stopped sending them those chats. But then we found out that by just adding a couple of, a question at the beginning, is this sales, service, or parts, or something else?
Uh-huh.
Segmenting that right up front allowed us to have better, more strategic conversations with the visitor. You
Makes
know,
sense.
and so it varies, but the key is test it, look at it, and then adapt the script accordingly. But you can do all those things in terms of addressing the visitor.
Okay. Now, my perception is that chat for technical industries is maybe I don't know, not as favored, or people are suspicious of it because they want to talk to a salesperson who has technical expertise.
Mhm.
And so how do you address that?
Yes. So this is a very, very common question I get. It's like, well, there's two parts to this. Well, how are you going to how are we going to train your team, Nelson, to answer all the technical questions for our business? They're going to go through a training process. They're going to study every page of your website. But the role of the chat team, and I would suggest to a company, whether you're having a company like us, where we provide the people, or whether you're having your people internally, chat is not the place to get into deep sales conversations or highly technical discussions. Those are best done on Teams meetings, Zooms meeting, or in-person meetings with your experts that can go deep in that right environment. Chat is not the place for that, right? And so we suggest to our customers, stay very top level. We can answer, top, very frequently asked questions. And the longer we work with the customer, if they're giving us feedback, we can build the script out to go a little bit more in detail over time.
Mm-hmm.
But we still always caution the customer, let's not go too deep. Even with that AI hybrid, don't try to answer every question. You're only there really trying to find out who they are, where they are, what company they're with, and a couple top level questions about the project, the facility, the application they're working on. And that's it during the chat. Once you have all that information, hey, one of our experts will be in touch with you as soon as possible, and then get that over to your team, your sales rep or your distributor, and get it to them, and they can do their normal process.
And by doing it this way, it sounds like you can more accurately route the lead to the best person to respond. And so you're going to alleviate some friction out of the buyer's journey.
That is correct. And what's interesting, when this human interaction takes place, there's over 20 years of doing this. I think there's been 3 instances where we've had a frustrated person on the other end that's not getting every answer to their question.
Wow. In 20 years.
In 20 years, there's been 3 or 4 instances where the person's frustrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, hey, this is terrible. I'm not getting my answer. It doesn't happen often, but there's people who have unrealistic demands and expectations. They're out there. But it's as long as people got acknowledged, they were heard. Because what are their other options? Call in and go to a voicemail on phone, because hardly anybody answers their phone nowadays. It always goes to a phone tree. Yeah. Or fill out a form and then wait anyway, So it's one of those things where we just simply say, offer all 3 capture tools and watch what happens.
And watch what happens and measure, and then you can see where to invest more money and resources and that sort of thing.
Yep.
Okay. So when a company is interested in setting this up, who usually spearheads this? Is this the VP of sales? Is this a senior marketing person who's frustrated that their leads aren't being followed up on? Like, where is the interest coming from?
I would say it's kind of it's across the board. Smaller to mid-sized companies. That's the owner or the president, in conjunction with the marketing manager, marketing director. Bigger companies, usually I start a conversation with the marketing person, but they're overwhelmed, and then they introduce me. They bring in their VP of sales, and then the VP of sales gets it, and they hear about our test run we offer, and they're like, "Hey, let's try it. Make that a priority." And so it's usually a combination of owner, marketing manager, and director of sales.
Okay. And sales ops, if it exists, or marketing and sales ops, depending on the company.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, if it's bigger and that exists, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because this does touch multiple divisions within a company. And to your other point, what we found over the years is 40% to 70% of the chat conversation transcripts that we send to our customers fall into the sales inquiry category. So 40% to 70% are sales inquiries. The rest of the categories are parts, service, technical documentation requests, and employment requests.
That's helpful statistics there. And we, in our State of Marketing to Engineers report, every other year we ask this question about what is the catalyst that made you first reach out to sales at a company? And one of the most popular answers was inventory. And I think that is such a wonderful thing to quickly answer via chat versus to have a whole phone conversation just to get a quick beat on inventory. So, yeah.
It's interesting.
Okay. So what are some of the success metrics that you look at to see whether or not this is working for a company?
Yeah. So typically the companies who do the test run with us, they measure success on, they're tracking how many leads are going into their Salesforce CRM or their HubSpot or whatever CRM they're using, which, by the way, we can integrate with whatever CRM they use. But they're tracking phone calls that turn into opportunities in their CRM, and they're tracking contact forms or quote request forms that turn into opportunities. As long as they have those benchmark data, we do a month-long test. And then they see, did those numbers stay the same? And did they get additional conversions by adding chat? And usually the value they see is, yes, okay, we got pretty much the same number of phone calls. We didn't see really any cannibalization on the contact forms, but now we're seeing, this number of sales inquiries coming from chat. Yeah, we saw an increase in conversion for the sales pipeline. So that's usually where people place value, is the increase in quote requests.
Yeah.
I have a customer recently, we did earlier this year, a test run, and they saw some incremental increase. It was probably a little below 50% increase in quote requests sales leads coming from the chat. But the parts and service requests that started coming in, streamlined, helped get their parts and service department off the phone. They got less calls to their parts and service, and everything started coming in through chat. And so they valued that after they did the test. That, hey, our parts and service team loves how these are coming in via chat. They have time to research before they call and reach out to the person. So it's helped streamline their parts and service department. So,
so quotes and efficiency, two big ones. When you do a pilot, is it based on a time frame, or is it based on like a section of the website or a vertical or something like that?
It's a time frame. So we do a month-long test, no cost. And it depends on the size of the company. We can do it on a section or certain pages of the site. We can do it just on the English site. So we have that ability to test certain sections of the site if it's a really big company.
Hey, cool.
But one of the key things, we'd like to see at least 3,500 visitors a month to the website. So if that section of the site doesn't at least get 3,500 visitors, we're going to suggest to them, hey, let's do the whole site, collect all the data, and then decide.
Is there a minimum overarching volume where you're like, your site's too small, you need to first work on getting more people to the website?
3,500. Yeah, 3,500.
Okay, so that is the number.
That's the threshold,
Yeah, that's helpful, right? Because you want to make sure that if you're investing this money, you're getting enough ROI. And so
Exactly. And we have a few customers that are long-term customers that get, just around between 2,000 and 2,500 visitors a month, but one of their sales can be $600,000 to $2 million. So they're not a high volume lead flow business. They only needed one or two leads a month and one to close per year. And they pay for us for 5 years at a time. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
But you got to know your numbers in order to make those judgment calls in marketing and sales. You have to inspect what you expect.
Absolutely. So Nelson, switching gears, I have a couple of fun questions for you.
Right. I like fun.
Well, okay. So you're a tech guy, you like tech. I mean, obviously look at what you do. What are you geeking out on right now? Have you seen any like AI or software or things that you're finding fun?
So I just made a couple of songs using.
You did?
Yeah. So there's the AI music producer. It is called Suno, Suno.
Okay.
And you can prompt it and put the genre of music you like. And I just made a song about Huey the hogfish. And so it made an MP3 in less than 10 minutes.
Hey, those hogfish are tasty. I like that.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I don't name my hogfish, so that would make them less tasty.
Well, the first iteration, I didn't name it, but they named it Finley. Like, let's go with Huey the hogfish just for more flow, and then they redid it. So
pretty cute. Either
Suno's pretty cool. You can make a whole song in less than 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh. My daughter, who's like 22, she's so into 90s like rock, grunge rock. She would
have her check it out. It's pretty cool.
I've done a graduation poem on ChatGPT, and that worked pretty well. And I
you can take those lyrics, put in the Suno, pick your genre. You can make a grunge rock music with the poem you made.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait. Maybe I could do it in the tune of his fight song of the college he's going to.
Yeah. Good. Anything's possible nowadays.
Anything. Oh, that's super fun. Anything else?
That's pretty much it. I'm probably late to the party on this one, but Fathom Note Taker has been pretty amazing on my meetings. The little AI summary afterwards, it's really well done. So
totally. Yeah. In fact, I'd be hard pressed to get on a Zoom call now where someone isn't using Fathom. It is just really taken off. I don't know if they are public or private, but we need to both look into that.
Yeah. No kidding.
Zoom gives me the notes if I'm the host, but if I'm not the host, then I use Fathom. So I like that. Yeah. Well, as we close here, do you have any parting advice for industrial marketers that are looking to consider chat or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, just another way to think about chat. I always like to put this in industrial marketers' hats. Think of chat just like, think of your website like a trade show booth is the best way to say it. You go to these trade shows and there's hundreds or thousands of people passing by, during that week. Well, the same thing's happening on your website. There's people that are getting to your website from the marketing efforts and dollars that you're spending. So make sure you're offering all the communication options for them. And that way you extract more value from the marketing that you're investing in.
Love it. Good
These
advice.
conversations create sales opportunities,
Yeah, yeah. And that's a great way to visualize it too, because
Yep.
everybody's knows about trade shows.
Yep.
And the good and the bad. Good. Well, where can people go to connect with you and learn more about Manufacturing Chats?
Oh, find me on LinkedIn, Nelson Bruton. You can email me, nelson@manufacturingchats.com. I'd love to answer any questions anybody has or help in any way that I can.
All right. And will we see you at the Industrial Marketing Summit in March?
The hotel takeover, right?
Yeah, that's right. So you
Yep.
can meet Nelson IRL in
IRL.
March. So go check out that website too.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thanks so much for stopping by, Nelson. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Wendy. Take care.
Thanks for joining me today on Content Marketing Engineered. For show notes, including links to resources, visit truemarketing.com/podcast. While there, you can subscribe to our blog and our newsletter and order a copy of my book, Content Marketing Engineered. Also, I would love your reviews on this podcast. So please, when you get a chance, subscribe and leave me your review on your favorite podcast subscription platform. Thanks and have a great day.